Hey guys, let's talk about the Dark Phoenix. Well, X-Men Dark Phoenix has hit the theaters and it has been a total disaster, both critically and commercially, for Fox, or well, maybe we should say now Disney. And while now it's going to be a good while before we get the X-Men rebooted by Marvel Studios, maybe we can take a couple minutes out to talk about what happened with this movie and why it landed with such a colossal splat. Now, there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that probably didn't help. None of this is Josh Trank Fantastic Four level of shocking, but it still impacted the final output. So let's expand on a couple of reasons why this movie may have failed. The first thing you have to point to is XMen Apocalypse. For many people, XMen Apocalypse was just bad, and viewed as pretty much as a black eye for the franchise. It was completely demolished by critics and way underperformed at the box office. Now, it had a couple of cool moments, but a weak story and what seems to be the inability to break the cycle of the same mistake over and over again hurt it with many fans. After the movie was released, some insiders revealed that Fox executives felt like the increased action and larger scale hurt the movie. I really don't think this was the case, but the source was quoted as saying there was a misguided feeling that Apocalypse was merely an anomaly that we just got wrong. And many of the same bad decisions that were made on Apocalypse were carried over to Dark Phoenix. Apocalypse was really a poorly constructed movie that left fans with a pretty bad taste in their mouth. I didn't care for it much. Like I said, it wasn't that bad, but it was more focused on action. The story was really weak, and Oscar Isaac just didn't deliver as Apocalypse. Or maybe it was that costume. The second thing we probably should talk about is Simon Kinberg, who, as a director, owns most of the responsibility for the failed film. You may be even wondering why Kinberg was chosen to helm the film, since before Dark Phoenix, he had no prior directorial experience. Well, what we found out since then is that he basically won the cast over filling in for an MIA Bryan Singer on both X-Men Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. And then all their contracts expired. And to get them renewed, the cast aligned with Kinberg, and it was pretty much the only way to move forward. These kind of negotiation tactics never turn out good, and the end product is somewhat predictable, so not really a great idea. We also should take a minute to talk about the reshoots. Dark Phoenix actually shot way back in June of 2017 and wrapped in October of 2017. However, there's a lot of A-list actors on this crew, and any reshoots wouldn't take place until the next year. This is reportedly why it suffered its first delay. The additional photography lasted for less than a month, with 2 weeks of principal shooting and 3 weeks of the secondary unit all happening at the same time. You know, most people don't realize it, but X-Men First Class reportedly had even more reshoots than Dark Phoenix because they finished shooting while the third act was only half finished. All of this is outside of the massive reshoots done to the third act after test screenings were done and got really negative response. Kinberg has claimed this was because of the ending of Captain Marvel, but that's been disputed, and many have said there was no way they could possibly know the ending of that movie, so it kind of sounds a little bit like making excuses. Either way, the perception of additional reshoots along with those additional delays really added to the negative buzz associated with the film's production. This was just more and more negative weight from the fans working against the movie and ultimately helping lead to the film's demise. Another thing that impacted the film was James Cameron. Yeah, I know he didn't even work on the film, but it does play into the story. Just 2 days after a new trailer was released for Dark Phoenix, setting the release date at February 14th, Fox announced it had been pushed back to June. This led to a pretty widespread negative backlash on the internet and was another blow to the movie that had literally no positive buzz surrounding it at that point in time. Now it's been revealed that moving the movie came about as a result of James Cameron pushing for Attila the Battle Angel to be moved from a crowded December slot to that February slot in order to give it a better chance of success. Despite Kinberg working really hard to keep that from happening, producer Hutch Parker and Fox's Emma Watts, they gave in to the demands and moved it again. On its surface, this might not seem important, but in reality, this was designed not to be a summer movie. And I quote, "It was designed to be an anti-apocalypse, to have less spectacle and scale, big for off-season, but too small for summer." This movie wasn't supposed to be a summer movie. This was supposed to be one of those February releases. Think Deadpool. Then there's the marketing campaign. And so, once the Fox-Disney merger went into full swing, marketing and publicity and distribution executives at Fox were either being fired, well, we'll call it let go, or completely insane about losing their jobs. As a result, pretty much nobody knew how to market Dark Phoenix, and that's why the campaign ended up being a complete, underwhelming, befuddled mess. One Fox executive said the campaign was muddled. Was this the final X-Men movie? Was it about a character going back? The movie just got lost. Another executive added, if the merger didn't happen, so many people would have been worried about their jobs. If the merger didn't happen, people would have been clamoring for Fox to do what Sony did with Spider-Man and ask for Marvel's help. Well, that would have been interesting, huh? And probably the last nail in the coffin was simply a lack of fan interest. Many fans feel like this franchise had run its course and had completed its story with Logan. Then many others checked out after the mess that was Apocalypse. This lack of enthusiasm clearly played into the movie only bringing in $33 million domestically for its opening weekend, barely beating the debacle that was Fantastic Four. I think the lack of fan interest comes from the overall evolution of superhero movies as a whole. The X-Men really helped kick off the modern age of superhero movies, but ironically, it didn't evolve with the times. It's become pretty clear that the right leadership for a superhero franchise is a must. Without a Cylon-like long-term plan and somebody with some vision, it's really hard to keep all these threads, storylines, and characters on track and bring them into a cohesive narrative that fans will like and understand. So now what do we have? Well, the X-Men franchise for right now is probably going to take a nap. Feige and those guys have said it's going to be 5 or 6 years before we get another X-Men movie. I actually don't believe it'll be that long before we see another mutant. More than likely, we see them in a Disney Plus series. I have a little bit of an idea of how I would market a new X-Men franchise, and I think it will work, but we'll save that for a future video. Tell me what you think, and what other aspects of Dark Phoenix impacted it negatively and you think caused its ultimate demise. Or did you like the movie and feel like it's getting a lot of negative press and feedback that it really doesn't deserve? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like below, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.